Hello and welcome to Will Smith's Midlife Crisis Management. I recently turned 35 and my birthday was tinged with sadness when someone asked me, if you knew how much time you had left on Earth, what would you most like to do before you went? I was taken aback by the length of my list of unfulfilled ambitions. I'd like to learn to tap dance. I'd like to open a B&B. I'm not a chef, but I can do a good breakfast. I'd like to watch UB40 play a hometown gig in Birmingham. I'd like to visit the locations from Conan the Destroyer. Cross a rope bridge over a raging torrent. I'd like to run up a down escalator. I'd like to stab a scarecrow with a pitchfork. And I'd love to play James Bond, where I have a fight with a busty female antiques dealer and deliver the line, "She's got a chest to die for." I'd also like to get married. It's very draining making up conversations about what to watch on television as though someone else is there. "Oh, darling, shall we watch The Real Dirty Dancing?" "Silence, wife. Thursday night is question time." Someone who's trying to pull me out of this trough is my godfather, Peter Black. Peter, where am I going wrong?
Well, you've got all these ambitions, but you never act on them. You lack a sense of adventure.
I do have a stay-at-home tendency.
Even at home, you play it safe. At your birthday party, instead of blowing out the candles, you smothered them in a wet tea towel.
I had a really traumatic experience at my 5th birthday when I accidentally blew wax on a play person.
You're too timid by half. I mean, I asked you what was in the understairs cupboard, and you said, "I don't know. I've never looked in there."
I never will. It scares me. I've seen 10 Rillington Place. It could be anything. A trapped owl, shrunken heads, some kind of portal.
You let your fears get the better of you, and you end up doing nothing. I was stuck in a rut in my marriage and job. I was facing another 20 years of more of the same, so I changed up, ticked off some ambitions. Plus, I did some stuff I'd never dreamt of. I got a henna tattoo saying, "Clapton is God." Saw Jean-Michel Jarre live at the Pyramids and danced on a Greek beach at a full moon party in luminous body paint.
I'm just not very adventurous. I mean, this week, my cat Hugo went missing, confirming my anxiety about the hostility of the outside world. Knocking on the doors of my neighbours did nothing to allay these fears. Hi, I live at number 39. I wonder whether you could help me. My cat is missing.
Cat?
Yes, he's ginger and...
Oh, what's a cat?
A higher form of intelligence than you, my friend. Hi, have you seen my cat?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie to you. I seen this Tommy Castle Jane Tom's off him walking around the neighbourhood, and it's like I just shout out to him. Plus, well, there you go, Tom and Jerry. But I mean, I think he's the best in all fairness. So I gotta say, he's gone. No.
The third one was even weirder. Hi,
It's upstairs.
I went upstairs expecting to find Hugo, but instead I found his wife, who he so romantically referred to as it, waiting on a bed. She was in what I can only describe as a state of readiness. I complimented her on the decor of the room and offered to make some tea, then climbed down the drain pipe and ran home in tears. The world just scares me. I'd rather stay at home.
And yet, I recall at your birthday party, I spotted a tent.
I don't use it for camping. Mostly I use it to wait outside for the, January sales, ticket offices, book signings. I've used it to get to the front of the queue for the new Frederick Forsyth. And I got a great view of Ray Mears demonstrating how to gut a fish with a pine cone.
But if you're a fan of Ray Mears and Bear Grylls, you must have an adventurous spirit under there somewhere.
Oh, wait a second. I said Ray Mears. I didn't say anything about Bear Grylls.
What's wrong with Bear Grylls?
The man is an idiot. Whenever I watch his show, he's always in a desert squeezing water out of elephant dung or drinking his own wee out of a hollowed-out snake. Ray Mears never gets that desperate. He plans his trips and takes enough water.
If you want to be like your hero, then you're going to need more of a sense of adventure. Hopefully, our guest can fire that up in you. She's been called the female Ray Mears. Among her many achievements, she has single-handedly sailed around the world and walked non-stop from Lapland to Cape Town. Please welcome...
Peter, she's not here. There's a bloke out the back. Must be her assistant.
That's her.
Oh, damn. Can she hear me back there?
Yes.
Please welcome Rebecca Gregory. Ignore Will, Rebecca. He can be quite insensitive.
Yes, you are naughty.
Sorry.
I will have to put you over my knee.
In which case, I would have you prosecuted for assault.
Now, Rebecca, perhaps you'd like to describe to Will all that you've gained from your amazing travels.
I guess when you're sailing around the world solo-handed, you see these amazing, beautiful, and sometimes terrifying sights. But the greatest thing is the opportunity to really get to know yourself. It's just you and the elements. It's the ultimate test.
You're describing days and nights of solitude with minimal human contact that leave you contemplating mortality.
Yes, I suppose that's it.
That's every day for me.
Being stuck inside can't possibly compare to sailing the ocean wave on board the good ship Bridgeford's Industrial Solvents 2.
Were they sponsoring you?
No, I just like the name. Maybe you'd like my next trip more. I'm following the migratory route of the Native Americans from Siberia down through Alaska into America.
That's the sort of life-changing experience you should do, Will. See the world from another perspective. I walked Offa's Dyke listening only to the stereophonics. Changed the way I look at whales.
I'll be doing my trek with the clothes and tools of a Stone Age woman.
What a fascinating study.
You can read my blog and find out how I get on.
Blog?
Yeah, I'm taking a solar-powered laptop.
Is it made out of flint? My knowledge of Stone Age history is admittedly sketchy, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have laptops.
You say that, Will, but they think that Stonehenge is probably the world's first computer.
But it isn't. What games can you get for it?
You are such a grumper.
Sorry, I wish you luck with it, but I'd rather stay at home.
It's not just about the physical journey, Will. It's about how it changes you as a person. Here's one of my little quizzes to show how much broader Rebecca's horizons are than yours. Question 1. What's the best holiday you've ever been on?
Got to be my South American trek. I was kidnapped by rebels.
That's your best holiday?
They only kept me a couple of days. In fact, mine was the shortest spell in captivity of any of their hostages. Don't know why. They must have taken a shine to me. Anyway, after that, I followed the course of the Amazon from source to the sea. Amazing. Only real downside was having a spider lay its eggs under my scalp. All these babies hatched, which was a laugh. I told everyone I was a single mum with 500 mouths to feed.
For some reason, that is so disgusting, it doesn't sicken me. Like Madonna in the video for Hung Up.
Will, your best holiday?
Well, the best holiday I ever went on was when I was fogbound at Heathrow Airport with my parents. I was about 9. It was brilliant. I rode up and down the escalators, I played in the lifts, had my first Coca-Cola, I was allowed to eat fast food. I read 4 Jack Higgins novels, and best of all, St Paul's Cathedral Choir were also stuck there, so I hung out with them. And for the first and last time in my life, I was the 4th toughest kid in a gang. That lasted 72 hours, then the fog lifted, we went to Venice and had a dreadful time.
Question 2. Describe a situation when you felt most out of control.
Well, it's not a travel story as such, and it's quite embarrassing. I'm a huge fan of Michael Flatley.
That is embarrassing.
No, that's not the bad part. I got a bit weak at the knees and tried to river dance up to him, but I lost control and kicked him in the balls.
The time I felt most out of control was when I had a cold and took a Lemsip along with some night nurse, then forgot I'd done it and had a rum baba. I went from being in a hallucinogenic stupor where a pharaoh was teaching me the life cycle of the sparrow to periods of intense hyperactivity where I told everyone I was an Ewok.
Question 3. What's the worst trip you've ever been on?
I would have to say my trek over the Alps, retracing Hannibal's steps with an elephant. Suddenly, it bolted. I don't know why. And it went straight off a cliff.
That sounds horrific.
Well, what made it worse was it landed near a school, which really traumatized the kids because it wasn't quite dead. I thought Muggins here is going to have to put it out of its misery. Several thwacks of an ice axe later, it was gone.
My God, you've seen some brutal sights. I doubt you can compete with that, Will.
Oh, Peter, I can. My worst holiday was in this 5-star hotel on the French Riviera when I was 15. The staff were way too attentive and obsequious. They all remembered my name. I was trying to imagine I was a spy on the run, and they ruined it. You couldn't get Heinz salad cream, they only had mayonnaise. The chef tried to make me some, it was fine, but it wasn't the same. And every day I'd open the curtains and see blue skies and a blazing sun, and I'd think, oh God, I've got another day outside. I hate the heat and I burn easily. I was praying for rain so I could stay in the room and work on an airfix model of the Millennium Falcon I brought along. You couldn't do it in the heat. Open the window and it was too hot for the glue to dry. Shut the window and the glue fumes were too much. But even if I had been stuck inside with the rain, it would have been awful, because every 30 minutes there would have been a knock at the door. Do you want any more fresh fruit? Any drinks I can get you? Shall I turn your bed down? Leave me alone! It was a nightmare.
But that sounds like a lovely holiday.
Peter, did you hear what I was saying? Anyway, I don't do holidays since I got Hugo. He comes back from the cattery with a very bad attitude problem. It's like starting again.
But you have to open yourself up to new experiences, otherwise you just keep going round in circles.
I'd rather stick with what I know. That way I avoid regrets.
Who doesn't have regrets? I've met all my fiancés trekking, and even though it didn't work out, I wouldn't take away the experience.
Fiancés?
Yeah, I've had a few.
How? I mean, why? I mean, when?
I've met them all over. Alaska, Mozambique, the Australian outback. Each time I felt I've met my soulmate, but alas, it was not to be.
What happened?
They all went sour once they came over here. One got amnesia and couldn't remember proposing. Another already had a wife. And the other said he sadly developed an allergy to me.
And this happened once you'd taken them away from life in an impoverished village?
I know. All the romance seemed caught up in the wilderness and isolation when it was just the two of us. Maybe I'm not a good judge of men. It's so tricky when you only meet people briefly.
Holiday romances are always a letdown.
Well, I'm more likely to believe that you're a world samba champion than that you've had a holiday romance.
I had a thing with a waiter, put me off hotels for life.
What have you got against hotels? Sorry? What do you mean by a thing with a waiter?
Last time I was in a hotel, the first night I chatted with the waiter, you know, where you're from, etc. Then I realised I've got another 6 nights of this. It was really stressful. Prompt sheets, learning the language, anything. One night I was stuck for something to say and I ended up telling him he could come and stay with me in London any time he liked. And he bloody took me up on it. He stayed for 2 months. Then his brothers arrived. All I got out of it was a bottle of rancid local hooch that left me temporarily blind, and some cuts of meat that to this day I don't know what animal they came from.
You see, you've been put off hotels and resorts by the package holiday experience. You come on holiday with me and I'll show you sights you've never seen.
Would that be insects crawling out of your brain, or you bludgeoning an elephant to death in front of crying schoolchildren?
I was meaning more skinny dipping in a waterfall.
No! Thank you.
We'll share a tent, maybe even a sleeping bag.
I only do tents on a pavement, and if I'm going to get something valuable out of it, like a photo of me with Nicholas Lyndhurst.
I think you should let Rebecca take you away. Expand your horizons.
I've had enough of that for this week, thank you. My search for Hugo brought enough surprise encounters.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm putting up lost posters for my cat.
You know we share more DNA with cats than we do with monkeys.
Really?
They don't want people to know because of the medical implications. Let's see what you've got here. Missing cat answers to name of Hugo. Other nicknames it will respond favourably to include Hugo, Huguenot, Huguenoid, Hugo Meister, Hugster, Alan Whiskers, Jeremy Katzman, Mr. Lipstick, J.K. Growling, if angry, Elvis Presley,
Presley.
Furry Mercury, Fergal Sharky, Inspector Clouseau, Lazy Susan, if fed really well, sleepy, and won't get off your lap. A lot of pets go missing round here. You should be more specific in your description.
I suppose I could put he has the same haunting stare as a young Richard Burton.
Really?
I don't believe in reincarnation, but I swear to you, when Elizabeth Taylor comes on the screen, he paws at the television and occasionally hisses.
I'm Graham, by the way. I live at number 18. Are you sure that's enough of a reward?
Hugo means a lot to me, so rather than offering money, I was offering my most treasured possession, a signed Mark Knopfler sweatband.
How could you part with that?
Well, Graham pointed out it might not mean as much to other people as it does to me. Once that had sunk in, I changed it to a £500 reward.
For 500 quid, You could live like a king, raving it up in Goa. There must be somewhere you'd like to go.
Have you thought about going to Iceland? Reykjavik's lovely.
No, it makes me think of Bjork. It'll be full of weird women with annoying voices. No offence.
None taken. I don't even know her. India?
I know it's meant to be spectacular and the food's meant to be amazing, but they have different curries over there, and I know what I like. 2 poppadoms, chicken tikka masala, easy on the spice, pilau rice, a plain naan, and a small Cobra beer. The guys at my local Indian know me now. I can ring ahead and it's waiting for me on the table, so I can eat and be gone in 20 minutes. And because I'm a regular, I get a Bailey's on the house or a couple of after-8 mints. Lovely. How are we going to organise that going around India? It'll be a disaster. No.
I tried to learn all the positions in the Kama Sutra when I was out there. Broke a man's back. What about Nepal?
I'm not going there. I can't stand the people.
The Nepalese are lovely.
I don't doubt it, but I'm talking about the people there on treks. Sickening couples with braids in their hair and some idiot actor like Daniel Day-Lewis researching the part of a Sherpa.
I went up Everest. Great laugh. Lost a toe. China?
Are you crazy? Have you seen Enter the Dragon? I don't want to be kidnapped and taken to some island where I'm forced to fight Chuck Norris.
Well, that's only a film.
Exactly. Imagine how much worse the reality is. They'll have sanitised it for the screen.
But you should go to somewhere really different. Get out of your comfort zone. When I retired, I went over to Africa to give something back. A chance to help people who really needed it. And it was a life-changing experience.
It's an amazing continent. Whereabouts did you go?
I went to Swaziland to help build a school. And I tell you, the conditions people live in there would break your heart. And yet there's this happiness, this spirit that is so uplifting. And it's a beautiful country.
So is England. And it has the advantage that I already live here.
But that's part of the journey you need to go on. I mean, this school I helped build, it's not like any school you'd find over here. Really basic stuff. Only 1 tap, bare earth floors, no glass in the windows, just bars, steel doors.
Peter, who are you building this for?
It was this organisation called General Endofer and his Simba Army. He was like the local mayor, I suppose.
It sounds like you were building some sort of prison or barracks.
No, it was a school.
Why did they need all the bars and steel doors?
Well, the same reason General Endofer said they needed the electric fence to protect the kiddies against the tigers and the bears.
There aren't any tigers or bears in Africa.
Right. I just need a few minutes alone.
Look, it's not your fault. It's an easy mistake to make. They took advantage of you. How are you to know?
Thinking back, they did say it was a detention centre. I just thought they meant for naughty children.
Oh, you idiot. You see, you thought you had a good time, but in retrospect, you had a bad time. But that's because people are weird. I don't need to travel to be reminded of that. Hi, Graham.
I've got it. Number 36. Always had my suspicions about her. She recycles everything. What kind of person does that?
Kind of person who cares about the environment?
Or who wants to be above suspicion. Look at these photos of her bending down.
Don't show me those. She's in her underwear.
She's bending down. Why? It's to stroke a cat. Your cat.
Or she's bending down to pick up her bra, which it looks like she needs.
She's got him all right. If you want him, you need to up the reward.
If you're so sure, why don't we just go around and get him?
We can't do that without a warrant. Draw out her greed with money.
All right, I'll put it up to 1,000.
Great. Do you want to keep the photo?
No.
If you want photos of any of the other neighbours, let me know. I've got most of them.
I fully expect to see him on the front of a tabloid with the caption, "Why did no one stop him?" With people like him out there, I don't want to leave the house.
Hang on, Will. What about when you play Bond? You'll have to travel then.
Well, not too much, because I'll insist it's set around the British Isles. There are loads of great locations and events to use as settings. Cows Week, the Isle of Man TT race, the place where they do cheese rolling.
Sounds like that would really pack out the multiplexes. Have you seen the bit where Bond fights the cheddar?
You want to play Bond?
Why are people always so surprised at that?
Because Bond is an attractive womanizer with a ruthless streak.
And I'm not?
That's a question you're seriously asking?
I prefer the Bourne films. When I was sailing round the world, I often dreamt of picking him out of the sea. His memory's been wiped. I could teach him the ways of love all over again.
And he'd probably be praying for the chance of having his memory wiped a second time. Your crush aside, they're not a patch on the Bond films.
They're more gritty and real. And as a traveller, I have to say they go to more interesting locations.
Bourne? Gritty? Real? A man with no memory is found floating in the sea face down. Now, for starters, if he's found floating upside down in the sea, he'd have drowned. Simple as that. So the whole premise is flawed. Plus, it's repetitive. The guy who trained him gets killed in the first one. Then in the second, he finds out there was another boss behind him, so he's got to go. Then in the third one, there's someone else. I can't even remember who he was. He probably came in to teach them Excel on Fridays. The Bourne trilogy just feels like a really protracted commute where you'd be thankful of a replacement bus service to break the tedium.
If you're such an expert on spying, how come you couldn't find your cat?
Because I was being led a merry dance by the kidnapper. I got a note saying he would be handed over in exchange for the reward, and I was to meet in a local car park. Hello? Is anyone there?
Stay right there.
Have you got my cat? Hugo!
Show me the money, then you get the cat.
Graham?
Yes, I mean who?
Graham, I can see it's you.
How can you tell?
Because it looks like you wearing dark glasses and a hat.
Can I have half the money?
No, give me the cat. And stop doing that voice.
How about I let him go?
And we see who he runs to.
Fine. He's gonna come to me. Hugo! Hugo, come here. Come on, Jeremy Katzman.
Cat, come here.
You've not even thought of any good names. Come on, Alan Whiskers.
He doesn't know his name. It's all in your tone of voice. Cat.
Huguenoid of the House of Huguenot. I command you. He's not moving. What have you done? Have you reprogrammed him?
Daddy doesn't love you. Come to Mummy.
We're not in Kramer versus Kramer.
Cat!
Oh, brilliant. You've scared him off.
Look, Will, your argument against going away is that it's too stressful. But it sounds like living in your street is nothing but stress.
Yeah, you need a holiday with me.
No, you're wrong. I spent the whole of last week at home waiting for Hugo to come back and had what by any standards was the best holiday I've ever had. It was a great holiday at home of achievement. I bled my radiators. I had a pizza from every different fast food leaflet that had ever dropped through my door. Watched the first 2 seasons of Howard's Way. I put my spice rack in alphabetical order. That had been hanging over me for years. Because I was staying in, I bought a lettuce and actually finished it over the course of the week. The first lettuce I'd ever finished. There is nothing more satisfying. I highly recommend it. I read the whole of the Sunday newspapers, including the sports, business and family section, just so I know for certain that I'm not missing out on anything when I just take in the front page and the TV listings. Brushed up on my Elvish. If you don't use it, you lose it. Posted reviews on Amazon on everything I'd ever read and also rated the other reviewers. I sent Jude Law diagrams showing how far his hairline had receded. And I set up a fake Facebook page for Noel Edmonds where I listed his hobbies as sacrificing live animals and being short.
You clearly need someone to look after you. Why don't we get married?
Yeah.
No, why don't we? You said you want a wife.
I don't like travel.
I'd settle down for a hunk like you.
I'd go for it, Will. You're not going to get a better offer.
Peter? Look, I don't like being put on the spot like this.
You're not saying no, though, are you?
We don't really know each other.
What better way of getting to know each other is there?
People don't get married to meet new people.
Come on, there's no one else on the scene, is there?
Look, it's not a case of position vacant. It's very much a case of the right candidate has yet to apply, and so I am re-advertising.
You're so lonely.
No, I'm not. Hugo's back now.
A cat is not a wife.
A cat is better than a wife. He's always there when I come home.
I can be at home when you come back.
I don't want that. He's always pleased to see me.
I'd be pleased to see you.
But I wouldn't be pleased to see you. I'd be thinking, there's that woman who tried to bully me on air into marrying her.
Look, Will, a cat is not a wife.
Peter, You're making me out to be a weirdo. I'm not saying I want to marry my cat. I'm just saying that my cat makes me happier than any woman could. Is that so strange?
It kind of is, actually. What happens if you get a +1 invite to a posh dinner? You can't take your cat in a dress.
I know that.
Or a tux.
Oh, right. Look, I don't want a public declaration of vows with him. I'm not asking him to share the mortgage. It's a simple exchange. I pay for his food and vaccinations, he puts a smile on my face and catches the occasional rodent.
I could catch the occasional rodent.
Rebecca, if that was what I was looking for in a life partner, I would still rather marry the first person that answered the phone at Rent-A-Kill.
Oh, well, it was worth a go. How about you, Peter?
What? Marriage?
Yeah, why not? You seem to think I've got more going for me than Will does.
Yeah, Peter, why don't you marry her?
Well, you know, I've only just got divorced. I don't want to get involved again so soon.
We could just live with each other.
Great idea. Peter's got a massive house.
Look, it's a lovely idea, and I'm very flattered, really I am, but I'd have to get extra keys cut, and the local locksmith is a bit slow.
Why are you two such stick-in-the-muds? You go on about Will lacking a sense of adventure, but you're just as bad.
Listen, the reason neither of us is saying yes is because we're not subsistence farmers in sub-Saharan Africa, a heartbeat away from dropping dead of malaria. Look at you. You're a disgrace.
Peter?
You're not a wife. You're a frumpy passport out of a hellhole.
Well, thanks for getting her on, Peter. Great guest. It's always good to have "can make a woman cry" on your CV.
So, what have we learnt this week?
Contrary to the theme tune, neighbours can't become good friends, and don't take elephants over mountains if you have an alarming laugh.
Will Smith's Midlife Crisis Management was written by Will Smith and Roger Drew. It was performed by Will Smith, Roger Allam, Rebecca Front, Jill Cardo, Paul Ryder and Dan Starkey. The producer was Tilusha Galani.
Graham,
I brought you something to make up for our little misunderstanding.
it would have to be Mark Knopfler's home number to even approach making amends.
I've got a recording of your neighbours having sex.
Which ones? I mean, get out.